Good day and welcome to another edition of Outside at Genie, where we will be looking today at the race meeting from Greyville on the poly track, which was originally a Scottsville meeting, but because of the going at Scottsville have been moved to the Greyville poly track. Thankfully, Gold Circle did publish a new computer form with the form relating to the horses on a poly track, making it easier for us to do our selections. But before we do that, I quickly want to just run through yesterday's selections and what happened. In the first race, my selection was number one, Amburix. But I must tell you guys, yesterday during the morning, I did check the form. And then I realized I made a big mistake. I should have waited for number three, Cosmic Highway, for certain reasons that I didn't pick up when I did my original selections. But yeah, well, then it was too late. The selections were already out. But be it as it may, and then race two, I gave you number one, give me that. I did say in my preview that I think this horse is a horse with ability, and he duly won very easily. In the third race, unfortunately, I went for the other stable, number one, from the Snape stable, but then they won with number two, Bayberry, who originally was the favorite, but then I see the toe favorite was number five, Silver Sky, who was way out in the weights. So yeah, there we didn't do anything. In race four, I did go with number two, Doublemint, and number three, Kaopera, and yeah, that exacta paid 50 rand. If you followed my exacta selections, you would have had that in race four, the exacta. Um, what I just wanted to say is I did say yesterday in a note that I made that, guys, you need to follow, well, not need, but you can follow my exactas because they do come in and some of them play handsomely. And here is a typical example. In a very small field, the exacta paid 2 and 3. Number 3, Kaopera, was one of my outsider selections. Duly ran second and he nearly won the race. I had a few bop on that one. Then in race 5, this is where all the wheels fell off. We all went for number one, and Clouds Unfold, but she didn't run on well yesterday. But luckily for my followers, I did give number 10, Zarina, as one of my outsider selections, and that jury arrived at about 10, 12 to 1. You could have helped yourself. Unfortunately, we never had the rest of the placings. Yeah, so this was a big smash for most Pick 6 and PA players. Then in race 6, number 3, Kirari, I did say that I think this is one of the better bets in the race. And yeah, on the card, I should have actually maybe banked this one instead of the previous race. But, after it's always easy after the fact. And then on my preview, I always also say that you need to include Hello Winter Hello into all your bets. So if you took that exacta, that would have paid 22 Rand 50, which wasn't bad because in that my selection was my trifecta selection and was 1, 2, 3, and 8. So if you followed that, then you would have also been in the money. Then in race 7, I went for Russian Rock, but that horse was pulling like like a dentist and never settled. And it ran midfield and I was surprised to see the horse at the front. Maybe next time they must try the blinkers. And yeah, therefore in race 7, our selections didn't do much, unfortunately. Then in the 8th race, which was a tough race, um, I had number 13 as in my quartet selections, in my exacta selections, but I never had a 16, 11 order, but I also had a 10 in there. Yeah, I had the 2, 9, 10, and 13. So, yeah, unfortunately, there we didn't do so well as well. I was on number 13 originally, but then I changed my mind. And it just shows you never must change your mind. Then in the last race, I was strong on Tot and Tichela number 3, and also number 1, Picture the Moment. And also my selections for race 9 was 3, 1, 3, 1, 5, 3, 1, 8, and 13. So if you followed that, you would have had a trifecta for 6 rand, 150 rand, and the exacta 53 rand. So yeah, all in all, I couldn't find winners on all the races, but I didn't feel I did find you some nice winners. So let's move to the to Terfontein, where we also had a nice day. Well, the first 2 races I never had selections because that were juveniles. So in the 3rd race there were a number of scratchings, reducing the field to 5 horses. And if you listen to my preview, my video preview, I did say that you need to include the number 2 Burning Ice in all your selections, which I duly did. And I made a few rand, and I actually also took all to come Burning Ice onto 5 under your spell, which was also for me a strong selection. I did say in my preview, I'm thinking that Naira, be careful. It's 2 years old. They improved, and I proved to be correct in race 4. And yeah, so at the end of the day, under your spell, won quite easily, paying a nice 5 rand 60 for a win. Then in the 5th race, I gave you the first timer. And when I did my video and my preview, this horse was still 9-2, but then it jumped as favorite because on the breeding, this horse, I just thought, he didn't gonna need a lot of ability, and he very easily won, was slower away, made up the ground, and moved on. And also my selection was, my other selection was number 5, Social Image. That exacta paid 12 rand 60. Not much, but if you took it a few times, and as a matter of fact, in that race, my selections was 6, 5, and 1, which the trifecta would have been 55 rand. Not a lot of money to be made, but still, definitely, you would have been in the profit. And in race 6, I went for a stable companion of number 8, Sweet Future. Unfortunately, this horse was slow away, made up, but faded at the end. And then, but I also gave you number 6, Tropic Sun, as an outsider selection, paying 3 rand 20 for a place. Then in race 7, my first selection was number 13, but that horse was never in the race, went wide around the turn, and that was that. But my outsider selection, number 11, Wily Winch, which I said in my preview, I think is also a strong selection. This horse has won quite a number of good races, duly won at 12, 14 to 1. And then if you followed my exacta combination, which was 13, 4, 11, and 5, you would have had the exacta paying 122 rand. Guys, that is nice money to be made. So definitely that there was a nice profit. And then in race 8, I did go for number 3, Fred, but I also said my other selections is 5 and 8. Take the exacta 5 and 8, but 5 was scratched. Yeah, so the 8 duly won La Luvia, and paying nicely 4 and 60 when start to finish. And then in the last race, I was also strong on the favorite number 1, Rosperina, which also just got up from the first time a last song. Last song, definitely a horse that you need to follow. This horse was slower away, was pulling around the bend. Everything was against him, and he nearly got up to win the race, number 10. So surely you need to follow that horse. And then to top it all, I did give you the pick 6 for 144 rand. And if you play it, then you would have added the 2%, collecting 600 rand for your 144. So all in all, also a nice day and a few rand to be made on the Turfontein card. So now let's move on to today's selections here at Scott's at the Greyville Polytrack. Let's just quickly have a look at the betting, and then as usual, there is a problem with the spooling. So let's just be patient. If you hear this rattle, this is the piece of paper with my selections on, and I've got a fan here, and it's blowing the piece of paper all over the place. So the first race, the betting number 3, Silvery Blue, 53 to 10, 4 to 1, Iron Bank, Gaelic Chief 4 to 1, Crested Eagle 9 to 2, Party Time 7 to 1, Lord Berries 13 to 1, Rainbow Spirit 14, 18 to 1, and longer the rest. While we here, let's look at the second race, which is a 1200 meter maiden plate. And the betting here is number 8 after the rain, a first timer 19 to 10, Cold John 33 to 10, Crusade Star 7 to 2, Parallel Universe 9 to 1, Champion Action 15 to 1, Mama's Boy 15 to 1, 16 to 1, and Better the Rest. Scratchings here is a number of scratchings due to the sizes of the fields. So please just check my selections. But yeah, I think of the selections, I've already done the selections, so I'm not going to redo that. I see now number 14, Raise the Standard, was one of my selections that has now been scratched. So we will just, just replace it with whatever you like with. So let's have a look here at this race, because there's a lot of... in this race, I can tell you that this is a very weak maiden plate, and my selection was number 11, or is number 11, Parallel Universe. And I just want to make sure it's not a scratching. Parallel Universe. We have to check that now. No. Parallel Universe now 9 to 2 in the betting. Now, Parallel Universe, obviously, I think he will be slightly better drawn now, since the lots of scratchings. But we'll have a look at this horse. He ran once on the poly, passed some 26.8. But before that, on the Scottsville over the 15, he ran at 21.9, which is not too bad. And I've just got a feeling that this horse today might be improved. In his second race, he ran 2 rings behind Rainbow Rising. And I can tell you, as I said, that the quality of this field is not so very strong. And therefore, I think number 11 might be a nice, easy way bet to kick off your selections. In my outsider selections in this race is number 7, Crusade Star, who has been improving slowly. Here you see, as a matter of fact, here's some collateral, also ran behind in the race and behind Rainbow Rising. And have a look here, actually finishing 2 lengths in front of Rainbow Rising, in front of my horse 11, Universal Parallel Universe. So that might be a nice swinger bet to take, I would think. Sorry, I only picked it up now. Where is that horse now? Come on. Number 7. But this horse has improved a little bit. It's not drawn too badly. There might be a change in the draw as well. And went to the front last time on the poly. And yeah, it might just be that Raymond Danielson can keep the horse going. Currently, Crusade Star, yeah, 72 in the betting. Obviously, the betting has changed since I did my selections. And then another horse that you can look at is number 8, After the Rain. He's a first timer, and I can tell you now, you don't have to be too good to beat this field. Also have Anton Marcus above. But as I said before, with Anton Marcus, you never know what's going to happen. But sometimes I feel we blame him for something that, he can only do so much of the horse. It's not like he's training the horse. So let's move on to race number 3. Where the betting is as follows. Let's see what the scratchings was in this race, race 3. Yeah, here's also a couple of scratchings. Let me just check if it's got any of my 5, 4, and 14. No, okay, we're fine here. Race 3, the betting is as follows. 14 to 10, number 7, Commandrel, Mr. Pigale 4 to 1, Sonia Joe 7 to 1, The Girl 7 to 1, Commodore Sun 15 to 1, National Unity 15 to 1, Giuseppe Song 15 to 1, 18 to 1, and longer the rest. So here we have my first selection in race 3 is number 5, The Girl. This is a horse I've been following for some time now. It's a 4-year-old by Vercingetorix, and it has run some decent races behind horses like Kaysen. Kaysen is a multiple winner. Gable Strike has won again. And last time out ran nicely on behind Masango Machine, and I feel today at over this 1600 meters. Sorry, I just want to check the distance. It's 1800 meters. Sorry, the 1800 meters, I think will suit this horse better. It might be that he's looking for the longer distances. Hopefully, the jockey won't take him to the front again, but rather place him midfield to have, and then having the horse running on. And my other outsider selection is number 4, which is Soñador. Soñador has also been running well. Has had a number of places on the Polydor, and surely with this jockey who's riding on the top of his game from a nice draw 4, certainly in with a huge chance. Number 4, Soñador, currently 7-1 in the betting, and I do think that's a nice price. Then I'm going to go down here to number 14, which is Torben Spirit. It's an ex Joburg horse now finding itself in KwaZulu-Natal, having his first run under Polly. It did run 1 or 2 reasonable races, notably here Mike's Pride and behind Top Line, but it hasn't done much. But it might be that this jackpot out of a Western Wind and Me might favor the Polly track. So I would advise you to put in number 14, Torben Spirit, in all of your play. Surely I think the draw is going to change a little bit, but not much. So, but do include in your play, because if it do arrive, Torben Spirit down in the betting, looking at 18-1, it surely is going to enhance your dividends that you will receive should it run a place. So let's move on. And then other horses, you can have a look at this number 12, which is Mr. Pigale, one of the favorites. Definitely in with a chance, has been improving nicely, but also drawn 12. But sometimes on the Polly, I'm not very concerned about people horses drawn wide on the Polly, because ultimately a lot of them move to the outside rail to run on from there. So sometimes it can actually be an advantage. This horse ran nicely on the Polly behind Master George last time, went to the front, got run out of it. But in this, and this is not a very strong field, certainly can stay on to win the race, not to be discarded. So let's move on to the first leg of the Pick 6, which is a 4th race. It's a merit rated 87 handicap over 1800 meters. Let's have a look here. And let's just check what's the scratchings. Else My Daddy, Master Vision, Master to Be. Let me just check if I've had any of that in my selections in race number 4. I see I had Else My Daddy in for quartet selections, but you can replace that with another horse of your choice. So here in race 4, my first selection is number 1, which is Capen's. The betting. Let me do the betting first. 4 Count Mars 4-1, Vitus Beering 11-2, Spring Fling 11-2, Fight Song 11-2, Cap'n Pride 13-2, 8-1 High Green, and 12-1 High Bull, and 13-1 and Longer the Rest. Yeah, this old brain is not always functioning as it should be. So here we're running a Class C, average minute rate at 78. And here in this race, my first selection is the number 1, Cap'n Pride. As you can see, Cap'n Pride has run against hugely higher minute ratings. Here we have a 99, 100 behind Calente, no donkey. Calente is definitely a good horse. Trip to Africa, a good horse. Guru's Pride, a good horse. So Gigi's Dynasty, 2 lengths behind Dynasty, now finding it here in the D division, and this horse hasn't run often in the D division. It doesn't show here, hasn't won for a long time, but has slowly came down in the ratings from a 95 now back to 86, and I think from that weight and draw can improve. It's also the second time that it's running with blinkers, and I think it might have needed his last run. So I think Cap'n Pride, Keegan DeMelo, they are Dean Kaname and Keegan DeMelo, they are picking up the winners. So definitely a horse not to exclude. Then my outsider selection is number 2, High Green. Also, a horse had been running against some stronger opposition, and I do feel that this horse has got a good track record Course and distance, 3 runs, 2 wins, and a second. Surely with Luke Ferrara's riding at the top of his game from draw 2. High Green can be a serious runner in this field, not to be left out. I ran a good race over a little bit shorter last time out, but stayed on well. And I think number 2, High Green, can be definitely a contender when the photos are taken. And my other outsider selection is down here at the bottom, which is number 14, Fight Song. A young 3-year-old noble tune by Dynasty Mare. The 1800 meters is going to suit this horse down to the ground. Has always showed potential. Did win a small future 2 runs back. Ran behind Spring Fling, 23.9, fastest 400 to finish. And I do feel that this horse is going to play a huge part in this race, although drawn 14. But Warren Kennedy, experienced horse, and definitely will be there and thereabouts. Then we move on to race number 5, which is a merit rated 83 handicap over 2,000 meters. And here we have got the betting 17 to 10, 9 to 2 run to Denmark, 11 to 2 Miss Hotline, 11 to 2 the appeal, Jack of Hearts 17 to 10, Dream Destiny 12, St. Pillar 14, and 22 and longer the rest. When I looked at this, initially, my first inclination was to go for number 1, Jack of Hearts. But then I had a look at number 5, which is Twice Golden. And then I changed to this. Unfortunately for us, I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, Anton Marcus on board. And that's always a question mark, what's going to happen. But hopefully this horse has been running against far better opposition that you can ever find. This is a D Division 72. And you won't find this horse A Division, C Division, B Division, A Division, running against horses like Marching Together, Exotonic, Matterhorn. Matterhorn won a very nice race the other day. Angiologio, No Donkey. Black Ball is a future race, a multiple future race winner. And with Anton Marcus on board, surely Twice Golden today must be going close. But hasn't won for 368 days, beating Merlin from Berlin, who ran a good race in the Gold Cup, if you can remember. Now, you always remember, I've said to you before, that sometimes horses will win a race and then a year, they will take a year to win a race, sometimes even on the exact date. But yeah, we now 3 days past that, but it's still a year ago that Twice Golden won, and I think surely today must be the day for Twice Golden. And I do think with Anton Marcus on board, if he rides to the top of his game, this is certainly might be the best bet of the day. Then my outsider selections is obviously number 1, Jack of Hearts, which I think has got a huge chance. And then, no, not a huge chance, but a very good chance. It's also down in class. Has also been running against same type of opposition. Here you can see Merlin from Berlin, Masterton, New Stream, Angel last year, Black Ball. Certainly you must make sure take the exacta 1 and 5. My other outsider selection is number 4. Number 4 is Mrs. Hotline, Irish Flame filly, who has shown some potential, has won at long prizes before, and yeah, I think can turn it up on the day, but certainly hasn't run against the class of the aforementioned 2 horses. But certainly I think that is a filly that's going to pick up a few races. You know, when a horse ran 9 races, 2 wins and 2 places, that's not too bad. So therefore, Mrs. Hotline, a nice outsider selection. And then also you can include into that number 3, World Cruise. World Cruise there at the bottom, but World Cruise has also been running against some decent opposition in his day. If you have a look here, Merlin from Berlin, Path to Victory. So has also run against some decent operations. I don't know what happened last time, but you know, just chuck it in and your quartet and trifecta selection. Jason Gates, I think, is a nice jockey. He tries hard, and it looks to me like he gets his horses nicely balanced, and definitely a jockey that you can follow on a horse. Then we move on to race number 6, which is a merit rated 78 handicap, Class C, average merit rated 77. And let's have a look here at the betting. The betting here as follows: number 3, Prince Caress, 53 to 10, Kings Road, 33 to 10, Storm Chaser, 9 to 2, Hampton Court, 9 to 2, Valiente, 11 to 2, Impartial, 12 to 1, Pacific Winter, 14 to 1, Calvinia, 15 to 1, and Scratch number 6 at number 9. Now, here in this race, my first selection is number 10, Hampton Court. I did give this horse last time out as one of my value bets, and it nearly came up to beat Kings Road. And based on the weight turnaround today, must have the beating of King of the Road, as well as Valiente. Now, Valiente is my other choice. Did run well, but was disqualified behind Kings Road. But now getting the services of a very competent apprentice, Carl Strador, -2.5. It was third in that race, 0.03 behind King of the Road at Hampton Court. So certainly ran a huge race, and I'm expecting it today not to be different. Has run course and distance, 6 runs, 2 wins, and definitely Valiente in with a huge chance in this race. And then my other outside selection was number 9, Alfonso Spigoni, but that is subsequently scratched. And then I will stick with number 7 as well, Kings Road, getting the -4, surely putting in this race, running well at the moment, not to be left out. Course and distance, 2 runs, 2 winners, and I think the connections was glad when it was switched from the turf to the poly, number 7, Kings Road. There is a number of other runners that you might want to follow. I did follow Prince Caress last time out, and it ran 4th. So Anton Marcus, so race 6, you definitely need to put in the number 3 horse into your play, Prince Caress. But I'm going to stick with the first 3 that I mentioned. Then we're going to go to race number 7, which is a merit rated 69 handicap over 2,000 meters. Let's have a look here at race 7. Race 7, number 5, Fever, 5 to 2. Alado's Pride, 4 to 1. Lord of the Manor, 7 to 1. Bohemian Light, Lad, 12 to 1. 19 to 2, Al Jackman. Proud Warrior, 19 to 2. Linbara, 19 to 2. And 11 to 1, and Better the Field. So let's have a look here at number race 7, where my first selection is number 5, which is the favorite, and that's Fever. I really like the look of this horse today. Has been coming to form. Luke Ferraris on board. Nice draw, but there's just one thing that concerns me, and that will probably, make that I won't have a big punt on this horse. And you must be careful. This horse can get very unruly, kick the gate, and that makes one, if this horse plays up in the start, anything can happen. So definitely number 5, Fever, I think a good selection, but definitely can cause problems at the start. Then my outsider selections is number 7, Alado Sprite. I'm not a big fan of this stallion. I think the stallion hasn't delivered, but now and then he gets some good sorts. And I think number 7, Alado Sprite, is at gelding. It's a by a Dynasty mare, Dynasty's Pride. Has won well on the maiden, and then also run well behind Baku over the 2-4, now coming back over the 2,000. Please bear in mind that this race was originally scheduled for 2-4. Hence, you got this few runners, that won over longer distances. But I think Alado's Pride can be involved in the finish. And then also another horse that I really like the look of as an outsider today is number 8, Proud Warrior. Warren Kennedy on board, and I think this horse has got capability, but not always run up to his capability. But I'm expecting a nice run from this horse today, so do include in all of your play. And then another horse that you can look at to include is number 12, and that is Smart Socks. A nice outsider. Smart Socks has run some useful races in the past against some decent opposition, has changed stables now, having a second run for the connections. Last time out was a little bit disappointing, but although if you later look at it, it didn't run too bad. 24.4, 400 to finish. That's reasonable, and the type of horse that can surprise in this race. So if you have got the money included in your pick six in larger permutations. So let's move down to race number 8. And here in race number 8, we also have the betting. Let me just quickly have a look here for 10, 11, 12. Race number 8. I don't see, well, not one of the scratchings was involved on my selections, so that's not going to change a lot. Number 4, Mighty Smart, 4-1. A Whole New World, 9-2. Bakar, 13-2. H2O, 7-1. Mambo Symphony, 7-1. King's Cove, 9-1. Viking Road, 10-1. 10-1 final occasion. Cool Apache, 12-1. 13-1. Roy Psycho, Dom Siginjor, 20-1. Now here in race 8, my first selection is the number 3 horse, which is Viking Red. Now we are running here in a 2,000 meters D division, 66. But this horse, a few runs back, won under poly over 1,800 meters, coming from behind, winning, going away, has got the services of Justin Gates. And last time out ran against A Whole New World and stayed on over the 1,600 meters. And has run on this distance for 3 seconds over the poly 2000. And I just feel that Viking Red, as a winner of 4 races, might, be have the ability to run well from a good draw free. Definitely, I think Viking Red ready to run a huge race. Then my outsider selections is number 10, which is Tiger Tank, but I think that's a scratching now. Yeah, Tiger Tank is a scratching, so I'm not going to dwell on that. And then the other horse is number 13. Final Occasion, and I just want to check that one. Final Occasion. Yeah, that's 10-1. Final Occasion also runs a good race now and then. Came from Gauteng earlier in his career. Has picked up a run over 2,400, but has been placed over the 2,000 meters. Last time out, went to the front over the 2.4, just got caught late. And I think T Golden from this draw might be going to the front again. And let's say, catch me if you can, guys. So it's certainly not a horse to be left out of your calculations. Then we get to the 9th and last race, which is also a fillies a mare 70 handicap over 1,400 meters, Class D 65, Class D 65. And here the betting is as follows: number 7, Arctic Princess 33-20, 3-1 Chanty Lane, Peace on the Rocks 5-1, Class of 8 13-2, Brimelda 13-2, Kildenen Bay 15-2. Voice of Reason 10-1, Rainbow Unicorn 10-1, and Longer the Rest. So here, my first selection is number 6, Peaks on the Rocks. It's now with Dean Kannemeyer, Keegan de Milo, the jockey. And I think they're sending this horse, maybe they think this horse is going to be better on the poly. It used to be with Mike the Cock, who still has a share in it, but has also run against some decent opposition, Peace on the Rocks. So definitely a horse that is my first selection, but not a certainty. Another horse that I like the look of, and I've given that, although number 6 is my first selection, I've given this as a value bet, is number 12, Kildenen Bay. Kildenen Bay has been running against some strong opposition, 75, 70, 72. against Rita Therapy, Alfonso Baby, Meter at George. And I think this horse might be due to win its second race. And with Dylan on board, drawn 12, and Doug Campbell, he's also a master of getting horses ready. And I think Kildonan Bay, a nice each way bet. And then my other outsider selection is number 3, which is Bramelda, Warren Kennedy on board from draw 3. I always thought this horse had some ability, but sometimes I think don't run, to her ability. And now today they're putting this horse for the first time over 1400 meters. And I think looking at the betting, I think that will suit this horse because sometimes it seems like he's a little bit outpaced. And so definitely from draw 3, I think Bramelda today can run an improved race. Then another horse that you might include is number 10, which is She's a Keeper. Only had 2 runs, won her first race very convincingly, and then last time with Marcus on board, over the 1200 meters, that ran on nicely, 23.0, fastest 400 to finish, and I'm thinking that a 1400 meters will definitely be not a problem. So that brings us then to the end of this preview. I hope I could point you in the right direction for a few winners. And as I always say, break a leg.